Getting my notes together. There we are. My notes on the 3 Owl House episodes that I just watched. So, alright, I think I'll go ahead and get started. Feel free to leave your thoughts on the Owl House episodes I'm about to talk about. So, hey everybody, Blood Moon Bobby here on this Thursday, starting to become afternoon. So, last night I finally made the decision and to catch up on the Owl House, partly because I didn't really have that many videos to talk about this week, at least up until that point. So I figured, why the hell not? So I finally decided to catch up on the Owl House, the Disney Channel show about a girl named Luz who ends up on this place called the Boiling Isles, and she wants to train to become a witch. And yes, as you could see, I have a new microphone set up. This is actually the same Zoom H1 microphone that I've been using for years, including in my regular videos. It is now, I attached it to a mic arm because I wanted the microphone to sit a lot closer to me. In what I usually did with videos, like in our Animal Crossing streams, I would actually have the mic sitting on like a nearby table, but that was actually pretty far off, and I would have to turn up the microphone sensitivity to compensate for it. So that was why, especially in like the older videos, the audio was not quite as good. So hopefully with this setup, it's a lot better. I am going to do a similar thing with my future pre-recorded videos where I'm going to have the mic, instead of like me sitting here, I'm going to be turned around toward my camera. So I'm hoping that it will also help out for future videos. So anyway, finally catching up on the Owl House. I did review the first episode back when it was first released, back when Disney Channel released it as a sneak preview on their YouTube channel. If you want to see my first episode review, you can watch it after I'm finished with the stream. The reason why I usually like doing episode streams live, if it's a movie, I sometimes like to do a pre-recorded video, like when I review Toy Story 4. But when I do TV shows, especially if I'm going to review episode per episode, it's a lot easier for me to do it on a continuous stream where I can have my notes sitting next to me. If I did this as a pre-recorded video, then I feel like I would have to stop recording for every single episode and put those files together in Premiere Pro and editing, and it would be a very complicated matter for me to do. So here, doing it as a review, because I have a list in front of me and I could just keep going, it's a lot easier for me, and it's a much more direct way for me to interact with you all, to interact with my YouTube channel subscribers, and hopefully the new people will come by. I really like to interact with people from multiple fandoms. Even though my channel name is Blood Moon Bobby, I always intended this channel to be a place where I could basically discuss all these shows that I really get into, and a place for shows that I'd like to see, what are people really interested in, and that sort of thing, if I could talk today. So, gonna start talking about the Owl House episode, starting off with the episode Witches Before Wizards. So, this episode I actually thought was pretty decent. I thought it was pretty good, a pretty entertaining episode. And by the way, as the description says, there are going to be spoilers in this discussion, so just keep that in mind. For these Owl House discussions, I do intend to catch up. I believe the Owl House, they just got to their mid-season finale. I do intend to go to that episode. I'm not going to do as many predictions, or at least I'm going to try not to do as many predictions with these episodes because I have more episodes to catch up on to. There's not as much room for me to predict because chances are I'll get the answers when I check out the episodes down the line. So, and hopefully I'll be able to do it this week. I didn't want to just, as I've said in many of my previous videos, I didn't want to just turn my channel into a place where I talk about a certain virus that's been on the news a lot. I already feel like I've made a lot of videos talking about a lot of the movie delays and how some movies are coming to video-on-demand services a lot earlier than expected. So I figured this is a really good time for me to start getting back into doing reviews. So, Witches Before Wizards. So, it's the episode where Luz isn't really too thrilled with So far, Ida hasn't been super thrilled with like getting Luz into teaching her all the really crazy spells right away. She kind of has as Luz doing all sorts of chores. It kind of reminds me a bit of the dynamic between. It's different, but it's kind of like the dynamic between a sort of Karate Kid dynamic, where in the Karate Kid, when Mr. Miyagi was training Daniel into karate, he didn't start him off like doing all the crazy moves. He was like, oh, wash my car, paint the fence, and that kind of stuff. So initially, Ida is like, oh, just go sell potions in this really raggedy part of the Boiling Isles, and she goes along with King. King isn't super thrilled either, and they stumble across this castle where there is a wizard in there named, I have his name, Adagast, and Adagast is like, oh, I could send you on this crazy mission, and Ida gets this map, and it reveals text that says something along the lines of only the worthy one will get to see this path, and she thinks she's going on this crazy adventure, but what's really going on is that in reality, like, it's kind of like a vision, like all these people, many of the people that when Luz starts going on this mission, many of the people she comes across, they're actually just kind of part of a sort of spell or simulation. It's all part of a trap. Ida catches on to it. Luz thinks she's seeing, really amazing people, or like, I think she sees like fairies, and the sort of prince character, whereas Ida and King, when King goes back, it turns out, everything looks fallen apart, everything looks wrecked and looks really terrible, and then yes, it turns out that this Adagast character is actually a puppeteer character, or Adagast actually. He looks like, it's kind of hard to explain. He kind of looks like a sort of creepy frog-like character, and of course Ida and Luz have to take him down. Luz brings. I actually thought it was a toy sword. I actually didn't think that it could actually like harm people, but we do see her like cutting down a lot of the. I guess you could say that a lot of the characters or puppets that Adagast comes out with. It's kind of tricky to explain, and of course they take down Adagast. I kind of find it funny that when Adagast is defeated, he shrinks down, like he's still that sort of frog-looking creature, and Ida just eats him. It kind of reminds me of like the Nightmare Before Christmas when Oogie Boogie is defeated. You know how like Oogie Boogie is like made up of a whole ton of bugs, and he gets reduced down to like one little bug that Santa squishes. So it kind of gave me Nightmare Before Christmas vibes, the way that Adagast is defeated. So as an episode, I thought it was alright. I thought it was pretty entertaining. It was fun to watch this. It was definitely thrilling to see. Something I pointed out in my last Owl House review is that the Owl House, it sort of has it can be comedic, but it kind of has a very mysterious, kind of ominous tone to it. Like, I would say it kind of has more of an ominous tone than something like Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Maybe something closer to like a Gravity Falls kind of feel. I kind of described when I was watching the trailers for the Owl House, it was kind of like I was getting the vibes of, it's kind of like Star versus the Forces of Evil meets Gravity Falls meets Harry Potter. So it's that kind of sort of thing. So of course the day is saved. The only thing I will say about Witches Before Wizards is that I kind of wish there was a bit more story progression, especially being the second episode of the Owl House. I was kind of expecting that we would maybe dip more into the continuity, especially since the first episode did such a good job of establishing Luz's character and giving us an introduction into the Owl House. So I was expecting a bit more progression. I mean, we get this kind of idea that the Boiling Isles, at least the really sketchy parts are not all that it's cracked up to be. But I've used a bit more on the development side in terms of where it's going, which we do get in the 2 later episodes, which is why I personally prefer the 2 later episodes that come on. So that was my personal thoughts on Witches Before Wizards. It was a decent episode. It had some pretty good thrills, but I did wish that, especially since the first episode, so not only did it establish the world of the Owl House and its characters, but let me actually, it's kind of bugging me. I want to move down my microphone a little bit. Wait, is this as low? No, it goes down further. So, yeah, so if you hear some bumps, I'm just adjusting my microphone. So, yeah, especially since the first episode established Luce's character, started getting into the world of Boiling Isles, and even had a comedic twist with the villain. I was kind of expecting a bit more or progression in terms of the entire Owl House continuity, going more into the story arc with this episode. So, yep, so that's about all that I could say with Witches Before Wizards. So moving on to the episode. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on all the episodes I'm going to be talking about today. So the next episode is I Was a Teenage Abomination, where we actually get a look into the school that's on the wizard school, on the Boiling Isles. Hi there, the King of Demons. Is that, I'm trying to get a good look at your picture. I think, is that King as your profile picture? Over there, I think King is a really cute character, really well acted by Alex Hirsch. I think he's a really amazing guy. He created Gravity Falls, and he also voiced a couple characters on there, including Grunkle Stan and Bill Cipher. So I'm really glad that he's also in the Owl House. I know right now it's not a good time for something like an Owl House event at the Gallery Nucleus, but hopefully after this pandemic, when this pandemic passes, I hope that there will be Owl House events, much like what they did with Gravity Falls and Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Well, I really do want to interview more Disney artists. I want to interview the crews behind even more shows, not just Star and Invader Zim. I was hoping that me getting the chance to interview people like Darren FC and Ricky Simons was the beginning. So I hopefully get to meet the crew. You maybe meet people like Dana Terrace and Sarah Nicole Robles. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Wendy Malick and Alex Hirsch, because I never got the chance to meet Alex Hirsch at an event. And so it would be really nice. And hopefully Owl House merch would also be a really good idea. Maybe something like Funko Pops of Luce, Anita, or even like a plushie of King. I mean, just like how Star vs. the Forces of Evil got plushies, and I would like to see the Owl House get plushies needs of their own. So anyway, on to I Was a Teenage Abomination. And by the way, the King of Demons, let me know what you personally thought of Witches Before Wizards. So we finally get a look into the school that's on the witch school that's on the Boiling Isles, and we get more character introductions. And we got some really great characters too. We get to meet. So actually, before I get ahead of myself, so I Was a Teenage Abomination. It is about the witch school, and Luce gets to go in. She disguises herself as a purple monster called an abomination that the students of the school are supposed to make. And so she sneaks in with this character named Willow, who I think Willow is a very relatable character. She's a student that's really struggling. She's hoping to get a really good grade on her abomination monster. So I thought she's great. She has a friend named Augustus, really enthusiastic student who's really fascinated by Luce, seems to be really fascinated by humans and trying to understand them. In fact, at one point, Augustus was like, "Oh, are braces used to make humans metallic?" And that kind of thing. And at lunchtime, he was asking Luce, "Oh, do humans eat PB&J sandwiches?" Which course we do. I kind of wanted to eat a PB&J sandwich after this episode. And by the way, one of the ways in the Owl House that you could tell if you're a human or not a human is if you have rounded ears, that means that you're a human in this world. So I thought that was interesting. And something that really made me laugh in this episode, let me actually turn down the microphone sensitivity just a smidge, is I love the school bell in this school is so funny. It's just like, it's kind of like a, let me actually double check. I believe it was kind of like a, it's just like this really creepy looking mouth. Yeah, it's this really creepy looking. It just screams like ah, and at one point, I think the second time they showed this bell, it goes ah, and then like kind of coughs because it must run a number on its throat. And another character we get an introduction to is a really kind of smart aleck student named Amity. This is the kind of student who like wants to be seen as like, much better than the other students and wants to get the best grades. And the thing that ticks her off in this episode is that the teacher is so impressed by um a Willow's abomination, aka Luce, just pretending to be one, that she gets a really good grade, and Amity is pissed and tries to sort of call out Luce and say, oh, you're not really an abomination after all, and she gets in trouble again. And what did the King of Demons said? Well, it was much better than the first episode. We could see more of the Boiling Isles, and Luce learned that she must shape her destiny herself instead of waiting for someone to give it to her. Yeah, actually, that was actually one of the things that I really liked about that episode too, was the sort of lesson in it. I guess that was the kind of unexpected thing that I got from Witches Before Wizards. I personally prefer the first because I thought it served as, I personally prefer the introduction that episode gave, and I also really like the funny twist in that episode. But yeah, I definitely like that lesson in that episode. So, but getting back to I was a teenage abomination, but of course the principal comes and wants to cut open and Luce. I think it was a sort of way to prove that she really is an abomination, and of course it sets off this chase scene. The principal starts putting up all sorts of force fields, and Luce has to escape, and the way Willow does it is by creating... The thing about Willow is that she's actually really good at when it comes to coming out with like all these plant monsters and controlling them. So she uses one to get Luce out of the school. As Willow puts it, she may get detention, but if Luce doesn't escape, she could be dissected, which is what they tried to do, what the principal tried to do earlier. So of course she does escape, but things overall end pretty well. Really all the characters. Willow gets put on the fast track to study plants and things. She discovers that plants are really her strength, so she's put on that level. She and Augustus do offer to she and Augustus do offer to train Luce, but Luce says that, I already got a really good teacher right here with Ida. And the other thing about this episode, too, is it actually has a kind of funny side story involving Ida and King. Like, King says, oh, I could train this trash slug. And Ida is like, yeah, right. So they make a bet where if King actually does a good job, then Ida will have to wear this really funny, loser cap. It's kind of like a dunce cap in the old days. Whereas if King loses, then he will have to be called Mr. Wiggles. And at first it looks like Ida is going to be the one that loses, but then, of course, King But of course, things turn around. And King loses. The trash slug goes out of control, and King is like begging Ida for help. And it's like, you can call me Mr. Wiggles, just help me. So I really like the dynamic there as well. So yeah, so I was about to call it Witches Before Wizards. So I Was a Teenage Abomination was a, yeah, I really liked that episode. It gave us a really good look at the school where they each teach magic. I was kind of thrown for a loop for a little. I actually thought that Luce was going to be like straight up enrolled at the school, but it looks like Ida wants to go her own way. And I know the reason is because one of the reasons why Ida is very much against this magic school is because she believes that magic should be like taught in a more like sort of freestyle way. It shouldn't be taught in this like super structure, institutionalized sort of way. So yeah, that's so that was I Was a Teenage Abomination. I really like the characters. I really like how it seems to be setting up a lot of these character dynamics. I know this is definitely not the last we're going to see of these characters, despite the ending. I know I've seen the thumbnails. I mean, just the fact that these characters, we see them in the intro, I'm pretty certain we're going to see them again. I'm very curious to see, because I do think that there is room for Willow to teach Ida some more about magics, but I'll have to see as I go on throughout the Owl House series. Again, I don't want to make too many predictions in the stream. I'm more curious to hear your thoughts in the chat, much like how I've been having a little chat here with the King of Demons. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on these episodes. I asked that I don't really want to hear spoilers for any episodes from like episodes 5 through 10. I'll get to those in time. Hopefully I'll be able to watch these episodes more this week. I've got some catching up to do. And as I said in the beginning of the stream, since the Owl House just hit its mid-season finale, I figured now is a really good time for me to get caught up on this show. So, yeah, so I Was a Teenage Abomination, a pretty good episode. And then we get to The Intruder. Honestly, of the episodes I've seen so far, I would say The Intruder is my personal favorite. Again, it has a really good twist and really good thrills. And I guess I was semi-spoiled regarding this episode, but I didn't really know how it would play out. Like, I've heard that if Ida doesn't like take like this elixir, because like here's the thing about this episode, if Ida doesn't take this elixir, then she transforms into this bird hedgehog, like really scary creature. Let's just put it at that. I just didn't know, oh, this is the episode where it gets revealed. So what happens in this episode is it's one of those episodes where the characters are stuck inside the house because it's raining outside, and on the Boiling Isles it's boiling rain. So all stuck inside. Luce is hoping that, oh, this is my chance because as we're stuck inside, Ida's not going to have too many excuses. This is my chance for her to teach me magic. And she starts getting into the spell where you draw like a circle shape with your finger to form a piece of light. So Luce, this is the spell that Luce is going to have to learn, but they don't really get too far, and Ida just falls asleep. And so, of course, Luce is, and I'm not saying this is like a bad trait of hers or anything, but of course she is very restless and doesn't want to wait anymore. King thinks that Ida gets like magical powers by drinking this elixir drink, and so Luce was going to drink the drink, but the thunder strikes and it startles her and it breaks. And what happens in this episode is we think that there is a monster going around. King calls it I have it in my notes here, a snaggleback. So we're thinking, oh no, it's the snaggleback. And we first think, oh no, the snaggleback has captured Ida. And then, oh no, it's captured Luce. But in reality, it turns out that the snaggleback, at least the monster they show of it was, isn't actually all that bad. If anything, it gets caught by another monster, and it turns out that this supposedly other monster is actually Ida in like a scary monster form. So, and unlike let me just get this amazing plushie of a certain Disney character that I talk way too much about, and unlike this character, when she goes into her, I guess you could say, her super powerful mode, Ida is basically like goes around and is attacking. She's kind of like, I guess you could say, she's kind of like in her sort of werewolf sort of mode. She doesn't really look like a werewolf, but in terms of her going around acting scary and clawing around and things like that. So that's the really big twist in the episode. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually was kind of caught up on. I was actually quite surprised by that. It's weird because I remember hearing that, oh yeah, if Ida doesn't take this elixir, she's gonna turn into this really crazy beast. So, but I didn't think that, it was gonna be in this particular episode. I was starting to get vibes when King and Luz were talking about this elixir, but I wasn't sure if this was the elixir for sure. The King of Demons said, okay, so third episode is one of my favorites. We were introduced to Willow, Gus, and Amity, who are just amazing characters. We could see character dynamics between Ida and King, which was fun to watch. Yeah. And I was Teenage Abomination, offered all those things, and it was done really great. So I'm actually very curious to know if, and King of Demons, if this is the case, please don't spoil. I'm very curious to hear if maybe, if Amity has a sort of backstory, because the thing about the vibes I'm getting from Amity is, even though Amity is supposed to be like the smart aleck, she's supposed to be like she's kind of the character who's like, I'm better than you, I'm supposed to be better than you than this, and sort of be the show off character. Usually when I come across characters like this, there's usually some sort of backstory, or the character has personal drama that causes them to really project that sort of personality. It kind of covers up any insecurities or a dramatic past that the character sort of had. So I'm very curious to see if Amity has something like that. If that's the case in an episode that has come out, don't spoil it for me. Yeah, I'll find out when I start checking out more episodes. But yeah, I definitely really like the character dynamics in that episode. But to me, to keep referring to, I'm having trouble remembering the intruder notes. What else did you say? Magic school and different kinds of magic, plus the code you can use to decipher codes hidden in the episodes. Oh, is it like Gravity Falls? Then, I'd have to look into that. But anyway, yeah, so the way, of course, I mean, I think some people could see this coming. The way a Monster Ida, let's call her Monster Ida, I'm sure the fans have given her a name, is stopped. I don't want to say the word defeated because that sounds scary, but the way she's, I guess you could say, taken down is, of course, Luz learns how to use this light spell. The way she basically does it is she finds that if she draws this pattern that she found, she actually filmed the lesson Ida was teaching her earlier on how to use the light spell, and she found the symbol, and she finds that if she draws this symbol on a piece of paper or on a leaf, it turns into a light. So the way she defeats Monster Ida, I guess I have to describe it that way, is by drawing this pattern on a wall and putting her hand on it, and boom, because light, it really hurts Ida, I guess you can say. Another thing about Ida too, I learned about in this episode, is she's really attracted to really shiny things, like a really shiny pen, for instance. So that's how she's defeated. And then we even get a hint into something that is probably going to happen later on, is Ida, when everything is all cool, well, she goes back to sleep, and she has this dream where she looks into the store and she sees a shadowy figure, and she's like, who are you? Are you the person who cursed me? Because she explains to Luz that she was cursed when she was younger, but she doesn't really remember her all that well, particularly who is the particular person that cursed her. So I'm sure that's going to be something that's saved on for a later episode. I'm wondering if that's going to be like the main villain of the Owl House, because even though we've had like antagonistic characters in previous episodes, we haven't gotten like a villain. I personally don't think we've gotten like the kind of villain character that's like the kind of the over the the villain character, the main villain character, sort of like, I guess you could say, Bill Cipher in Gravity Falls or Toffee in Star Wars Forces of Evil. I'm not sure if we've gotten to that point yet. I'll have to see future episodes. I'm wondering if this shadowy figure is going to be that particular character. But all in all, I thought The Intruder was a really great episode, had great thrills. I really liked the twist. I really liked how it was revealed, the way how it was. I really, as a person who kind of knew that Ida has to take this elixir or else she's going to turn into this really scary monster. Or I really liked how it was executed, didn't see that coming. I also really like how they dived a bit more into King's character. King really wanted Luz to learn more about demons, but of course she's more interested in magic. And what King was hoping was that, I really wanted to get Luz interested into magic because he himself doesn't really have too many friends outside of Ida and Luz. So I thought that was really great. Luz said that the reason why she wanted to learn magic is because she wants to be taken seriously. Of course, I'm sure she's going to learn even more spells down the line in future episodes, so we'll have to see how that goes. Well, at least I'll have to see, because I know that I believe 10 episodes of The Owl House have already been released, with more to come. So, yeah, so I would say so far, episodes 2, 3, and 4, I would even include the first one, even though I reviewed the first episode previously of The Owl House, were a pretty decent bunch. I would say my personal favorites of those were episodes 1 and 4. The third episode was actually pretty good too. Second episode, I could have used a bit more progression, especially as a second episode of this entire series. So, yeah, I would say so far I'm liking The Owl House. I have a feeling, though, that I haven't gotten to the really, really good stuff just yet. I'm sure they're saving the really, really good stuff for later on. And they've already supplied some really good twists, too, and really established some really great characters. I'm curious to see more from them. I'm interested to see if they're going to develop characters like Amity more. I'm wondering if this monster Ida is going to be a thing we'll see in more like battle like scenes, if like Ida's going to go into that form. It doesn't seem like a form that she's like really like reliant on, that it's kind of werewolf-ish. So, but I'm curious to see if we're going to see a monster Ida like fighting in battles in future episodes and things like that. Again, please don't spoil from here. I personally, the last episode I watched was episode 4 of The Owl House. So, yeah, but overall, I would say I'm getting into it so far, or I'm hoping that future episodes will be even better. So, yeah, so I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on The Owl House. Any viewers that come by. Again, don't spoil. I just want to hear your thoughts on episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4, and maybe even if the future episodes haven't quite gone into detail on some things the earlier episodes haven't dipped into yet. Maybe we could talk about those in the comments. I'm very curious to hear all your thoughts. So I'll keep the stream going for a bit longer because I really want to hear from the Owl House fandom what you think of the episode so far. What do you like and not like so far? I'm all ears. I'm personally here to critique these episodes myself. I'm not here to either or just simply talk about what I liked and what I didn't like. I want to talk about a bit of both because I really enjoy critiquing episodes or reviewing movies. So I'm really curious to hear what you all have to say. So yeah, because it's been a lot of fun to talk to people like the King of Demons. So I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. And while I'm here, I will say that I am thinking of doing a Nintendo Direct Mini discussion. I'm thinking I might be even able to do it later on this afternoon. I actually watched the Nintendo Direct Mini just before I started doing the stream, but I want to save that for another video because I think it would get messy if I tried to mash two topics together. I'm personally not going to talk about every single thing that was in the Direct, just my personal highlights of the Direct Mini, because as I think it's best if you watch the Direct yourself if you want to see absolutely everything. And also some of the games just didn't really pique my interest. I'll be honest, in that particular Direct Mini, there wasn't anything where I was like, jumping up and down, really, really excited to hear about. But there were some pretty noteworthy announcements that I would like to discuss. Yeah. And also, we could also maybe talk about, maybe could they do any future events with the Owl House, much like how maybe they could do like panels at future conventions or any events. Obviously, we not right now because of the certain pandemic that I've talked about quite a bit on my channel. But I would like to see the Owl House at least get like the Star versus the Forces of Evil treatment, in that there are panels and like gallery showings at the Gallery Nucleus in Alhambra. Really fun events to go to. I really like going to them and meeting cosplayers and meeting some of my viewers there. Definitely really down for that. King of Demons said the fourth one was giving me the Mystery Like Gravity Falls feel too. That's basically why I love it. Also, we got the first main plot and some more information on Edith's past. Luce figured out how to do. Are you talking about magic? I'll wait to see what else, because it seems like you have even more to say. Magic and King was. Sorry, I bumped the microphone. King was amazing, and I could relate. Yeah, I mean, I think that was a big part of why I like the fourth episode as much as I do. I know that every show it needs its breaks. That's why we have filler episodes every now and then. Not that I thought that all four of the episodes were filler per se, because like if anything, most of them had pretty substantial stuff. But I'm not saying I want a show to just be about the plot and nothing else, because then we don't get as much time on things like character development and updates and that kind of stuff. But I think the forefront, maybe that was a big part of why I liked it so much, because it was really like related to the overall story arc of the Owl House, like in terms of Luce learning magic, and we get more into Edith's past. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Ida's monster form is part of why she's kind of seen as a sort of outlawish character in the Owl House, in that she's kind of treated like a criminal. So, but yeah. Actually see if I could give you a bit of an update on like the equipment that I take to conventions. This off. Oh right, I could actually just move the window closer to my point of view. Actually, nah, it would be too much trouble for me to set up. I did actually buy this. Obviously, this is the camera I'd like to use, Nikon D750. I bought this at the beginning of the year. Actually, take the lens off, or the lens cover off. Yep. So, been filming with this since the beginning of the year. Really like this camera. It's much better quality than the G7000 that I've literally used for the last several years. I really need to make camera upgrades even sooner. And I think it would be cool if I could actually film convention videos using this, or even having Gabby come along, because I know Gabby wants to do more film work. So, but yeah, I definitely agree, King of Demons. These episodes were pretty good. Some of them even great. When the pandemic passes by, are you hoping for any like Owl House sort of events or merchandise? Because I know that was the really big thing when it came to, especially like when I think of the Star vs. the Force of Evil community, with how many events that were related to the show. I think of things like the Gallery Nucleus events, going to Toyzilla, or even conventions. I know that I saw recently Disney Channel put out a video that featured a couple cosplayers I personally know, Heather and Vivi, where Vivi was dressed up as Luz and Heather was dressed up as Ida. I'd really like to see. I've seen Vivi cosplay Luz at a convention in Pasadena last year, but I've never seen in Heather's Ida cosplay in person. So I'd really like to see her cosplay Ida in person someday. So, any viewers that come by, let me know your personal thoughts on the first 4 episodes of The Owl House. I think as long as the sunlight isn't too horrific, I think if I'm going to do a Nintendo Direct mini stream today, it'll probably be at 3 o'clock. I don't want to do it straight after because I need time to create the thumbnail and get the link to the stream posted on my social media channels. But I will say the Nintendo Direct mini was alright, I guess. Some of the games kind of caught my eye, but I'm kind of being wary about saying, oh, maybe I'll pick this game up. Like, I'm trying to be a bit more honest with myself, especially nowadays since I can't go to game stores quite as often. And some of the games they spent a good deal of time talking about, I already personally own. Like, they talked a bit more about the Animal Crossing Easter update, which I'll be discussing in my Nintendo Direct Mini discussion. I know that I'm honestly kind of amazed that Animal Crossing New Horizons has blown up as much as it did. I didn't even know until fairly recently that the past games, at least according to VG charts, sell in the multiple millions. Like, I always thought that Animal Crossing, it was, because when I think of Nintendo, I think of like Mario and Zelda. I didn't know Animal Crossing caught on as much as it did, which I'm glad it did, but yeah, it's definitely really surprising. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of the creative things that people playing New Horizons have done. I actually recently just visited a friend's island. She's my former multimedia editor, and I saw that her town, she's definitely quite a bit far along than I am. I noticed that, that some of the characters on her island had already built houses, the roads are paved, and things like that. So I thought that was really awesome that she invited me, and I got to invite her to my island, Starco Island. Thinking when I would like to do another Animal Crossing New Horizons stream at some point just to show what I'm up to, because I've thought, even though I'm glad that, like, one of the things I'm really glad with New Horizons was that we got to stream it right around when it first came out. Some people got to it even sooner because of things like review copies and stuff like that. But I'm really glad that we did a stream on the day where the game came out. It was kind of awkward since it was the very first time I got my hands on the game, but I'm still really glad that it wasn't something that I just waited on or that I didn't have time to get to. So I am looking forward to doing another New Horizons stream at some point just to show you all what I've been up to lately. I think I'll leave the stream going for 10 more minutes just in case anybody else comes by. I really enjoy discussing these shows in the live chat. I previously said early on in the stream one of the reasons why I do the stream. Well, a couple reasons. One is so I get a more direct chance to talk with you all. And the other reason is because I think it would be really difficult if I had to go episode per episode and film multiple takes and put them together in Premiere Pro. So for me, it's a lot easier to do this all in the stream, and it's also a much more direct way to get to you sooner rather than having to go through this entire process of filming a video and color correcting it and publishing it and getting it out the day after the news occurs. So feel free to let me know your thoughts on the first 4 episodes of the Owl House. Try not to spoil. Once again, try not to spoil episodes 5 through 10 because I haven't gotten to those episodes yet. I hope to get to them this week, especially since I want to do a Nintendo Direct discussion live like this rather than filming an entire video. I think I'll get more time to watch the rest of the Owl House episodes, and then from there, thinking of moving on to other shows. I would like to finish up the second season of Infinity Train at some point, as well as Amphibia. Yeah, I'm not going to make any super confirmed promises in this stream, but those are shows that I know I need to catch up on. I don't just want to do trailer reactions. I think I'm gonna make myself another something to eat. I eat after the stream because I'm starting to get kind of hungry again. So yeah, I mean, don't feel rushed. I'll be here as long as there's people to talk to. One thing I will say in New Horizons, I actually first bought, like, I just recently got the chance to set up some homes for incoming villagers. It's actually a lot of work because you have to build the furniture. Maybe you could buy some of the furniture they're requesting. I couldn't But it's actually quite a lot of work. I actually thought it was gonna take me a couple days to get everything done for the villagers that were coming, but so far I was able to do it within the span of a day. King of Demons said, "I'm always interested in hearing other thoughts on shows I like and see people enjoy them." Yeah, well, that's good. I'm same here. I would agree. Yeah, and something I want to point out is maybe Luce being able to cast that light spell may be a sign that she's going to learn even more spells. Now, the ultimate goal, well, is her getting her own staff, much like Yi does. But as Ida said, she has to learn her spells first. All right, so do the last call. So once again, last call. Let me know your thoughts on the first 4 episodes of the Owl House, or if you would personally like to see something like Owl House events, like panels or gallery exhibitions. And as I keep emphasizing in the stream, I know something like that wouldn't happen in like any time in like the super near future because of the ongoing pandemic and we're all staying home. I've talked about that quite a bit in a few other of my videos. But once once this passes, like, hopefully it will in like the next year or so, I would personally like to see something like that. The Owl House getting the somewhat similar treatment as Star Wars: The Force of Evil, which, like, to be frank, wasn't spectacular. I wish that Star got even more merchant opportunities like that. But for a show like that, I still thought what it got was actually quite good. King of Demons, what'd you say? She needs to record a spell first to see hidden symbol, but her camera is cracked. But probably there should be a book or something where you can find those symbols. Hopefully there will be. Noticing what did I see in? I think I saw like a book that I thought could be potentially used as merchandise for the Owl House. All right, so I think I'm gonna end things off here. We're gonna head off for now and hopefully get something else to eat. And I'll come back in a couple hours so I could do my Nintendo Direct stream. Hopefully it will all go well. I'm probably gonna do another test stream just before the Nintendo one, just to be sure everything is going fine. So for everyone watching, thank you for checking the stream out. It's been fun. Thank you to the King of Demons for discussing these episodes with me. I'd like to see even more Owl House fans come by. It's a really good show. King of Demons would say, I really like Star's finale, though it was kind of rushed. The ending of them say hi, and that's it. And King of Demons says, okay, bye. The Star finale, I'm not. The rushed feeling was kind of why I wasn't really a fan of it. But I do but I do sympathize with Star's outcome that now she could basically be just and like live a more calmer life because she no longer has to be a princess and that kind of thing. So look forward to seeing you in even more discussions, and I hope to see even more Owl House fans there. I know that many Star Wars The Forces of Evil fans are also Owl House fans, so I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. So until next stream, this has been Bloodmoon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. See you later.